SCORE Northeast Wisconsin and WHBY are pleased to bring you Biztalk, a chance for you to hear from entrepreneurs and professionals as they share their experiences. From starting to sustaining growth, learn the skills needed for your business to be successful. If you miss anything, you can catch the Biztalk podcast at score.org/Northeast Wisconsin. And now from the Myron Construction Studio, it's Biztalk on WHBY.
Good morning and happy Saturday, everyone. I'm Rick Sense along with Terry Pinch this week. Terry, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Rick, and yourself?
I'm doing well. It seems like it's been a while since we've done a show together. Maybe I'm wrong in thinking that, but...
No, it's true. We've gotten more help than used to just you and I and Zach on here most of the time, but we got some great help now, so we're not on quite as often together.
We really do, and we should maybe share the names real quickly with listeners out there, so in case they've missed that. We've added Barb Lemieux, and people might recognize Barb's name from her tenure at New North, and Megan Mulholland, who runs a communications company. So they've been jumping in and helping out. And then, of course, there's always our compatriot, Mary Rohde, who's been around for a while now. So always exciting to get together with Terry, though, because Terry's kind of the guy that took me under his wing when I started on the show. So, and with that, I'd like to just introduce our guest this morning, Curt Detjen. Curt is the president and CEO of the Community Foundation for the Fox Valley region. Personal disclaimer, I've had the good fortune of knowing Curt for probably my entire life, or it seems like it at least. Known him since like high school time, I know that. So, but Curt, it's great to have you on the show. Thanks for being here. And I just wanted to start off by asking you, you just recently celebrated your 25th anniversary with the Community Foundation for the Fox Valley region. What originally drew you to this work, and how has your why changed over those 25 years?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to be here with you. 25 years, it's an awful long time, but at the same time, it feels like it's just yesterday in some respects. A lot of reasons why. I've got an essence of community in my DNA. I grew up here in this area. I grew up in Combined Locks. I'm a local guy. Had a job working with the city of Appleton. I was economic development director there for a number of years. And I really got to know about the Community Foundation when I was charged with doing all the feasibility studies and planning that led to the Performing Arts Center. So I got to work with a lot of community leaders. And an interesting story about that one, the Community Foundation, which at that time was maybe 10 years old, had two different donors, one of which had given $1 million and the other one had given $2 million to the Community Foundation, knowing that they weren't going to be around forever, but that money was here and it was restricted for the sense that if the community ever decides to build a performing arts center, we'd like to have these monies applied to it. So through the course of a couple of years of study after study after study, and these things take time, we kept on being drawn back to, we need to do our due diligence and be a good steward because they've placed their trust in us to look for the opportunity and see if we can use their gifts. So I started to get really curious about the Community Foundation during those years and always just have been struck with the spirit of generosity here in this region. And, you know, it's the corporate citizenship, it's the individual donors and the volunteerism. And there's just a fabric of community that's here that's really special. And as I learned about the Community Foundation, it's like, well, I was working for Appleton and I love Appleton. But I thought, well, this philanthropy thing, if we do this right, this could be really special for this region. And that's really what drew me. It was the opportunity to grow something and grow something that was all about good. And I've never lost sight of the why. I feel like we've just really gotten started. It's grown tremendously and I've met so many wonderful people and we just help a lot of people to accomplish their dreams and goals. It's very simple. It's not easy, but it's very simple in concept. We're just trying to help people to accomplish their goals and their dreams and in the process make this community and the people here live better lives.
Maybe just give listeners a quick 101 crash course on what a community foundation is and does.
I'll try to be really high level. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, which means that there are no owners. It's governed by a board of directors. The board of directors hires a president CEO. They hired me, 25 years ago, and I build a team and a staff to execute the directives that the board comes up with for strategies and execution. And the essence of what we do is really pretty simple. It's a little bit like a trust account. Somebody, it could be an individual, it could be a couple, a family, a business, essentially any donor could give the community foundation a gift or a series of gifts over time and say, we'd like to establish an account. We call it a charitable fund. And this is what we'd like to have it do. So in the case of those two donors with the PAC, it was individual gifts, and I'm not sure that either one even knew about the other one at the time. But it was the community foundation accepting that gift and saying, okay, we're going to use our very best efforts to try to execute the thing that you asked us to do. And in some cases, it might be awarding an annual scholarship in the name of a loved one from the school that person graduated from. In some cases, it might be taking care of feeding kids or mental health needs or building recreational trails. So many different things that people can do that can make this community better than what it is today. And we're simply a partner to make that happen. And most of those are in the form of long-term endowments, which essentially we receive a financial gift, we invest it, and it spins off like an annuity every single year that supports exactly that purpose or that cause that the donor established with us. So we make a promise and we execute that faithfully year over year over year over year. And it turns into, last year it was about $44 million in grants in 1 year.
If you look over the 25 years and what's changed, do you find now that maybe 25 years ago you had to do a little more searching to find people to join the community foundation and donate to it versus today where you're so well known, you get a lot of people coming in and asking you to help them?
Well, I'm glad you look at it that way because I still feel like in many respects, a lot of people really don't know what the community foundation is. They might have heard of it, but do they really understand that it's for them? And this is an opportunity to get the word out a little bit on that. The referral network is really strong for us. It's one donor making a suggestion to a friend or a family member and saying, you know what, you've got some charitable intentions and you've been very actively involved with this nonprofit organization or this cause. You should really think about what you might want to do to establish something that could have some permanence to it, to continue to give back and pay it forward. And a lot of the new activity that we get involved with each and every year takes the form of people having included us in their estates or their trusts. And in many cases, in most cases, we will have met during their lifetimes and we have a really clear idea of what it is that they'd like us to do. And in most cases, they've countersigned a guiding document with us. But this community is just so full of people that care. And we're a small enough community where people really feel connected and like what they do and how they show up can make a difference. But we're large enough where there's enough people and enough resources that we can actually dream about some things and make some big things happen that I think people from the outside looking in might look at it and say, how in the world did you ever accomplish that? It is possible here in this region, and we're really proud of that.
No, the foundation's been around for about 40 years now. It's 40 years, correct, Curt?
This is our 40th anniversary year.
It is. Okay, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And now you've been there 25 of those years, so you've seen a lot of change over the years as far as what's been kind of the interest du jour in the community. Can you kind of give listeners an idea of what's the most significant shifting that you've seen in the landscape in philanthropy over your time in your role?
It's hard to whittle that down to just one thing, Rick. I would just say that in general, I think the pandemic has something to do with this. In recent years, people may be a little less connected than they were before the pandemic, and that takes the form of volunteerism. A lot of our nonprofits really haven't been able to get back to the level of robust volunteerism that they had before the pandemic. Generational changes, the greatest generation and a different sense of like civic participation and responsibility, and people having super busy lives, and especially our younger generations. We have to work a little harder to get the younger generations truly engaged in that community spirit in the same way as their parents or grandparents may have. And with philanthropy, though, it's been kind of fun to see. It might be grandma and grandpa that set up a charitable fund, and it's in the name of the family, and then they set it up intentionally that they can use it to support the causes they care about. But part of the family's inheritance someday is the right to be involved with that charitable fund, so that they can be philanthropic in their own right, and they'll have a vehicle through which to do that, and a built-in support network through the community foundation that's always going to be here, and the staff members that are very happy to help people understand the impact that they can make. And they might be curious about, now tell me what's going on in the environment and what are opportunities that I can make a difference. And our staff is well equipped to be able to say, well, these are some of the organizations that are doing some really interesting things, and we'll just share some stories. And that'll light a fire. And pretty soon that nonprofit has a new donor and sometimes a new volunteer, and sometimes they even turn into board members. And that's part of the fabric of how community works, is really cultivating those opportunities to build relationships, grow them over time, and kind of meet people where they're at. And as community needs change and as circumstances change, we change along with them and just try to do the best we can to be a good matchmaker.
The foundation started with $5,000, and in 40 years, it's grown to over $700 million under assets. That's amazing. What does that tell you about the donors and the funds and the communities that you guys are working with?
Well, it's really humbling to just think about that. And that's another one of those things that it was $5,000, and Walter Rugland, the senior Walter Rugland, who had been the president of AAL back in the day, knew everybody in town, and one by one invited people to kind of join in and say, this is the idea. Are you interested? And people joined in and wanted to be on the board. And that initial board back in 1986 had 45 people on it. And they were from throughout the broad Fox Valley region, all the way to Shawano and Wapaka, and into Calumet County, into Chilton and Hilbert. And then, of course, the Appleton, Neenah, Menasha areas. But it was an idea that had credibility because of Walter and because of the core group that got involved in those early days. And in those days, it was just a vision. It was a vision that had some potential, but it didn't really have any sea legs at $5,000. And they built, in those early days, they built it with lending their reputations and their hard work and willingness to talk to colleagues and kind of spread the seeds around. And I can tell you, O.C. Bolt, in his time as chairing the board back in the early 90s, I have a document that has the list of all the people he went to see. And he'd sit in their living rooms or in their offices and say, there's this idea, this community foundation. And at some point, when you sell your business or when you reach the point that you're ready, we'd love to have you be involved and have your name on a charitable fund and lend your name and your reputation and your financial support to making this community a better place. And today there's almost 2,000 individual charitable funds. Some are 10,000, The biggest one is about 130 million. It's everybody in between. And the beauty of a community foundation is it gives opportunities really for almost anyone in the community to participate. There's room there, whether it's a lifetime gift or you say, I'm going to reserve an amount in my estate plan to make sure that I leave something to pay it forward. And the community foundation is the collection of all those people and all their good intentions. And we're simply the stewards to try to match it up with the best opportunities. It's really fascinating.
Well, it is a fascinating story, and I'm looking forward to continuing our conversation, but we're going to take a break at this point. Folks, you're listening to WHBY and Biztalk with SCORE, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Biztalk with SCORE on WHBY. I'm Rick Sense along with Terry Pinch this week, and we are talking with Curt Detjen, who is the president and CEO of the Community Foundation for the Fox Valley region. And we'll get back to our discussion with Curt in just a moment. But first, I just want to take a little bit of time to talk to you about SCORE. SCORE Northeast Wisconsin serves a 29-county area in northeast and north central Wisconsin. We have over 50 volunteers, each an expert in their field, offering entrepreneurs no-cost and confidential mentoring. Those areas of expertise include IT, social media, marketing, cash flow, accounting, strategic planning, workflow, HR, retail, best practices, and many, many others. In order to register for a no-cost confidential mentoring session, in order to learn more about SCORE Northeast Wisconsin, please visit our website at score.org/Northeast Wisconsin. You can learn more about how the SCORE chapter can assist you with starting and or growing your business, and you can complete an application for a mentoring session. Simply complete the online form and submit it to SCORE. Within a few days, a SCORE mentor will be contacting you and will be setting up a meeting with you. Remember, SCORE is no cost and offers experts who can offer you assistance in many different areas. To get started, please visit our website at score.org/Northeast Wisconsin. And to support small business people, SCORE Northeast Wisconsin is always looking for new mentors. If you have experience that you'd like to share with others, we'd love to talk to you. We welcome volunteers with experience in all aspects of business. Small business owners need your help, and your experience can make a real difference to their success. Go to score.org/Northeast Wisconsin, click on the volunteer button, and fill out the short application, and we'll get back to you to explain more. And finally, this reminder about the Biztalk with SCORE podcast. Biztalk with SCORE, the podcast, brings you the same real-world information and insights from experienced entrepreneurs and business leaders, just like Biztalk with SCORE on WHBY. However, Biztalk with SCORE, the podcast, is available when you are. So listen and subscribe today, tomorrow, or whenever you want. Available on most podcatchers and podcast apps. And with that, thank you again for being with us this morning. I'm going to turn the show over to Terry.
All right. Thanks, Rick. And we're back talking to Curt Detjen, the president and CEO of the Community Foundation for the Fox Valley region. And Curt, I want to talk a little bit about some of the areas you service, maybe outside of the Appleton, Neenah, Menasha area. And I see that the Brilliant Area Family of Funds just hit $1 million endowment milestone. So when you look at that and the other areas or other cities and towns that have that, why are these regional affiliates so critical for smaller communities?
Well, I'll tell you, the founders of this community foundation back in 1986, they designed the Articles of Incorporation and said, this community foundation is for, and they described essentially what we call the Fox cities today. And they added the words, and those other people and communities that have personal and economic connections there too. So by design, it was the community foundation should go where the people want it to go and where we're invited in. So today, the region that we call the Fox Valley region extends as far as Shawano County, Waupaca County, includes all of Calumet County, and then, of course, Outagamie and the Neenah Menasha northern part of Winnebago. Our offices are located in Grand Chute, near the mall. People would say we're Appleton, kind of Appleton focused. And our ability to inspire and grow philanthropy and help build quality of life in Shawano or Brillion or Chilton, really requires people in those communities that are connected in those communities, that are willing to give financially and establish their own charitable funds, but also serving as grants committees. And they know their communities a whole lot better than what we're going to know sitting here in Appleton. So essentially we partner with them and we deputize them as the grants committees and the scholarship selection committees, and also deputize them to be our ambassadors to encourage people to form a connection and establish their own charitable funds. We wouldn't be nearly as effective in our smaller rural communities as we are with them. They are major partners, and we give them the benefit of having, one of the top 60 community foundations in the country as your partner in your back office to make sure everything gets done the way it's supposed to get done. I'm so proud of the folks in Brilliant and the folks in New London that have each reached milestones of attracting gifts to get their endowments, their community endowments to significant levels, because those endowments are going to continue to provide monies that these grants committees can award grants every single year. And they'll be keeping pace with what are the community needs, what are the new ideas and the best ideas, and they'll be able to award those monies. And as the community changes, and sometimes new nonprofits come up or new projects, it's evergreen and it's ever finding those new opportunities. So it's really, really important. It's a great relationship that we have the privilege to have with these communities and these leaders.
Great. So we're approaching the time for our next break, so won't be able to get an answer for the next question. I was going to have Curt tell us stories about Megan Mulholland as an employee of the Community Foundation. But we'll pass on that. So
I would love to do that another time.
Poor Megan. She's not even here to defend herself. Okay.
So you're listening to Biztalk with Store at WHBY, and we'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back to Biztalk Restore. This week we're talking to Curt Detjen, the President and CEO of the Community Foundation for the Fox Valley region. But before I get back to Curt, I just have one education update for everybody. If you go to our website at score.org/Northeast Wisconsin, you will find in the top a line of different tabs to click on. One of them is workshops and events. And it is a great resource that not everybody knows about. But if you go in there, there are literally thousands of events. Some are upcoming live webinars. Many are already recorded webinars. And then there's various courses, like if you want to learn how to do a startup, there's a 12 webinar startup roadmap course. There's others on selling your business. There's so many things out there. So I just want to remind everybody, I'm not going to give you too many specifics on courses that are out there this week because there's literally thousands. So if you go to score.org/Northeast Wisconsin and click on the worksheets and events tab, you will find this resource. Most of the courses are free, but as SCORE raises money for some of his work, there are some that have small charges where they bring in well-known speakers and things like that they can raise a little bit of money. So it might cost 10 or 15, but those courses and the free ones are all more than worth it. So again, go take a look. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to Rick.
Thanks, Terry. And we're talking this morning with Curt Detjen, who's the president and CEO of the Community Foundation for the Fox Valley region. And Curt, I just, when I was a kid, I used to think, playing the game Monopoly a lot and, dream about the idea of having all this money. And then one day I'd be able to give it away to people. And it kind of instilled this, wrong thought, in my opinion, of what a foundation or the community chest is, as it's called in Monopoly, what it's there for, and the idea that it's only for millionaires. Can you maybe talk through that whole thought process about who is the Community Foundation for? And how do you explain to the everyday donor that they should be looking at that as a resource?
Well, Rick, that's an excellent question. And the Community Foundation is really here for everyone who has a connection to this region. Everybody who loves this region has a place here. Anyone can make a tax-deductible donation into any of the nearly 2,000 charitable funds that we administer. Maybe a friend or loved one has established a fund and you want to make a birthday gift or some kind of an honorarium to them. You could do that through a charitable fund, and anybody can donate to any of those funds. Many people choose to make a gift to what we call our Community Vision Fund, which is our kind of our community unrestricted endowment, where our board is working with our staff and the nonprofits trying to figure out where we make the most effective grants to kind of inspire the next important things that need to happen in the community. But really, the entry point for a fund in the community foundation, you could have a permanent fund, a permanent legacy fund, with an asset base of as little as $10,000. It's been $10,000 from day one, and while 10,000 doesn't, it spins off on the annual annuity about $450 a year. Through the course of time, that grows through the investments, and our investment folks are doing an excellent job, by the way. So we're growing those assets for the future of this community. And like I said, some people will make a gift and they'll establish a fund during their lifetime, and many of them will choose to say, I want to reserve a piece of my estate to be added to my fund, and I want it to do this, this, and this. And in some cases, they want their families to inherit the advisory rights on those funds. So we're creating a really easy way for people to have a private foundation. And it's got a name on it. It's your name. And it's going to do the things that you want to see it accomplish. And that's a piece of permanent legacy that is really a cool opportunity, and it's available to virtually anybody here in the region. And I don't think a lot of people know enough about that. And I'm a history guy and I'm a community guy, and I relish the fact that we have all these names of these people that have called this place home. They've maybe built businesses here, they've worked here, they've raised their families here, and they said, there's something about this, my favorite nonprofit, my church, my alma mater. There's something I want to do that's got a permanency to it, and Community Foundation, take care of it for me. And it's quite a responsibility, but it's really a humbling honor to be able to do that.
Well, I've heard you say in the past and present that the Community Foundation for the Fox Valley region is here for good. Now that can mean a couple of different things. So how do you balance meeting that urgent, immediate need of today with the goal of preserving funds for the next generation and providing that here for good model?
Yeah, about 3/4 of the charitable funds in the foundation are endowed, where they're using a formula like an annuity for the distributions every year. The other quarter are not endowed, where they're much more fluid, and people can make tax deductible donations and make more active and more sizable grants, and just kind of use that as a replenishing account. That turns into a lot of philanthropy on an annual basis. We have to honor that ability to be supporting through these endowments the things that are the opportunities and needs today, but also through investment and having the appropriate formula. We need to make sure that 10 and 20 and 50 years from now, that endowment is also providing the important support that donor asked us to provide. So that's where today it's a 4.5% distribution rate. Our investments are earning enough to be able to sustain that and grow that, so that it's not only producing that same amount year over year, but it's actually growing with the ability to take care of inflation, just like you would want in your retirement account. There are always going to be clear and present needs in the community. That's going to be here in 2026, and it is. It's going to be here in 2027. It's going to be here in 2057. And a community foundation is one of those vehicles that gives us the ability to say, we have some community capital, and we're going to be able to attend to those needs and help to preserve and hopefully over the course of time really enhance and make the quality of life here so much better for everybody who lives here.
You always are being proactive and looking into the future. So how do you guys guys think, I guess is a good question. And what I mean by that is, how does the foundation identify emerging needs before they become a full-blown crisis in our community?
Well, we listen a lot. We have to be really good listeners, and we've got a team that is really focused on our nonprofits and on our kind of community affairs. And, we're reading all the reports that all the nonprofits are preparing, or the reports that the chambers and the other organizations are providing. And we're trying to find the best ways to invest in the strategies and the opportunities that are really advancing quality of life and taking good care of people. So we get a lot of good information by conversations and being really curious with our nonprofits, with all the donors we have and all the life experiences and the knowledge that they have. We learn a lot from our donors too. So this circle of insights that we're collecting and we're assessing is really kind of fascinating and really helps us to have a finger on the pulse of a lot of different things, so that when something starts to kind of trend, we might pull together a couple people that are experts in that particular issue and say, help us understand this from all of your dimensions, and let's see if there's something here. And is this something we should find a way to articulate so that we can share with the donors that we have a connection to, and maybe make some grants out of the foundation directly. But let's see if there's something collectively that our region can do about it. And sometimes it's an issue or a problem, and you're searching for an answer, and it takes people and the collective action and the collective ideas of a lot of people to come up with the best ideas. Typically, any one person isn't going to have all the best ideas. You bring people together that have something to share, and people love to be engaged and invited that way. And collectively, then, the community responds, and we're a facilitator and a catalyst to help the community to respond to those.
So you've said in many ways, if you feel like the foundation has not even gotten started, your best work isn't in front of you yet. What is the big dream that you still would want to see realized for the Fox Valley, Curt?
The big dream, I think, solving poverty.
Okay.
No, it's not one thing. It's really, anything that we can do to work toward a community in a region that offers true opportunity to everybody who's here. And maybe it's opportunity to, for that high school student to just know that they have a shot at continuing education or skill building, or that opportunity for people in neighborhoods to come together and cause something to happen and, build a park or an area and improve their local neighborhood. Whatever it happens to be, we're really a place of opportunity. And so long as we're doing our jobs right and we're giving people genuine access and opportunity, and we can be informing ourselves with some of the best ideas and in conversation with so many people, gives us the opportunity to match up resources with the best ideas in order to make these things happen. And that's what I think makes a community really vital and tick. It's about the people. It's about the people's passions. It's about their best ideas. And most people, really anywhere, but I'll say here in this region, people genuinely care. They care about their neighbors. They care about their coworkers. They care about the vitality of their community, and they really do want to do things that make it better. And sometimes they can do it directly by themselves, and sometimes they need a partner. And when those situations are there, we're a partner not only for today, but we can be a partner for somebody for the long term. And that's just not something that's available to many places.
One of the things we've found in SCORE is we have a lot of people come in looking at starting a business, and there's a wide range of skills, some without very much business experience to the other extreme. But people don't know as much, but we also serve nonprofits, and we find exactly the same thing. There's this wide range of skills and abilities, and we often try to work through how to do that. But one of the resources we found so helpful was the Nonprofit Leadership Initiative. And in fact, a few years ago, a previous leader of that group was on the show, but they do such a good job. How do you work with people like the Nonprofit Leadership Initiative to help nonprofits run more like a business, which I hate saying because it's more like a good nonprofit is a better way of saying it.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you bringing up the Nonprofit Leadership Initiative. It is a program run out of and by the Community Foundation. So we're really proud of that. And a quick story about its origin and why it came to be. This goes back to 2014. You have nonprofits, and just like the businesses you consult with, sometimes they go through phases. They might be thriving and doing really well for a while, and then something happens. Maybe they lose a key employee, they lose a key leader in the organization, and then things can kind of quickly start to deteriorate, and they get into what I always kind of call the sine curve of successes and retrenchment. And the question was, well, why don't all of our nonprofits, which we love in this region, we appreciate them, we love them, why don't they all have the resources to understand, if you're the paid leader, executive director, to understand all the tools and all the best practices for how to lead the organization? Or if you're a board chair or a board member, what are the things you need to know? And sometimes people are invited to be part of a board and they don't have any experience. And the only way they learn is by observing their colleagues and the way they do things. And sometimes they're learning it the wrong way because maybe that board or that organization hasn't adopted a lot of the best principles. So with a lot of help from a lot of partners, we did the research and we came up with this concept for the Nonprofit Leadership Initiative, really to give every one of our local nonprofits throughout our entire region the opportunity to learn and to get access to the best training and the best principles, so that ideally all of our nonprofits can be well run, exercising good mission results, great stewardship, great financial accountability, and ultimately being really successful with what they're there to do. And it is a wonderful thing. And it's what we've seen over the years is so many of our nonprofit leaders that have participated in the classes and the programs, they have developed their kind of cohorts and their support networks, and they're calling each other now. When they're struggling with something, they're calling a colleague and they're getting help. And nonprofits are helping nonprofits, which again is kind of that spirit of this Fox Valley region where people kind of lock arms and they get things done.
So, Curt, I'm going to switch gears a little bit and kind of throw the spotlight on you, and maybe you could share with listeners the thing that's humbled you the most in your career so far.
Well, it has to be the trust that people place in me and my staff. When people are willing to give you a significant gift and trust that you're going to keep your promise and do what you said you're going to do. And in some cases, and they're all different sizes, and it really doesn't matter the size, but it's a significant commitment and demonstration of trust coming from each and every one of those people. And to be in a position where people do trust me and they trust the foundation and the people inside the foundation, that really is humbling to me. And to see how much of that has happened. And when people name the foundation as the beneficiary of their entire estate or a good portion, some people treat the foundation as like, if you've got 3 children, they might split their estate into 4 pieces and say the community is their 4th child. And they leave that to the community foundation, and they trust that we're going to do them right. And they're not going to be here to see it, but they trust it. And that is every day. Every day I remind myself of that, and I think about all the people that have been part of this community and the pillars that have created the community and give us what we have today, and the opportunity we have to kind of create that opportunity for the generations that follow us. And it takes trust, and it takes excellent follow through, and I'm proud of our team and our board of directors and all the people that I've had the ability to work with over all these years, that everybody who walks through these doors has that same commitment to the mission. They're all dedicated to doing a really great job, delivering excellent service and being great stewards. And, I mean, that's ultimately what makes for a successful organization.
Good. We have reached the point where we need to take our final break. We're having a great conversation with Curt from the Community Foundation, and we'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back. We'd like to thank our sponsors for their generous support of Biztalk. Hailing & Associates helps small businesses and individuals not just prepare tax returns, but plan for the future. Hailing & Associates, personal connection, positive results. Wherever you are in the life or the life of your business, Johnson Financial Group works to match the banking and wealth services needed to help you complete your mission. Thank you to the Business News for promoting our program in the biweekly business newspaper serving Northeast Wisconsin. We are grateful for the support of Community First Credit Union. At its core, Community First is a community of member owners where people work together to improve their financial well-being and help one another. New North, the Regional Marketing and Economic Development Corporation, is an active supporter of SCORE. The New North facilitates economic growth and helps people in this region live their best lives. Since 1919, Baird has guided families through investment, trust, estate, and tax planning advice. So no matter what the future brings, you can be confident you're ready, as your family is Baird's focused. And finally, we'd like to give a special thank you to Curt, and also recognize the David L. and Rita E. Nelson Fund within the Community Foundation for the Fox Valley region for their generous donation to support Biztalk and SCORE Northeast Wisconsin. So with that, we're going to turn back to Curt. And Curt, could you just let people know how they can find the Community Foundation and how they can connect with it?
Would love to. And thank you for that. First of all, our phone number, 920-830-1290. Our website, cffoxvalley.org. And we're located just south of the mall area in Grand Chute, 4455 West Lawrence Street. So we're super convenient for people. I just encourage people as they're thinking about their lives and the things that they care about. And if charity and a sense of community is important to you, if you're selling a business and maybe you have a little bit more wealth than you ever expected to have, or whatever the situation, speaking directly to your listeners here, Terry, there's an opportunity to give a gift that's going to benefit this community, this region forever. And it really starts with it could be an email inquiry, it could be, better yet, it'd be a phone call, or schedule a meeting and just sit down and talk with us and bring your questions and bring your ideas. And it doesn't cost anything to have those conversations. This is what we do. And if we can find a fit that helps design a charitable plan that's going to work for you, we start with today, and we modify that and we evolve that over time as your life circumstance evolves. And in the end, that turns into a great gift that does pay it forward and benefits our community. So we all love this Fox Valley region. We're here for a reason. We're connected, and we're a partner in philanthropy.
And I think one of the most important messages we wanted people to hear too is you don't have to be a multimillionaire putting $1 million into it. You can do this with $10,000 and to set up your own fund or other donations as well.
Absolutely. Community is important in the Community Foundation name, and there's an open invitation for anyone, and including the Community Foundation in your annual giving list. Make a contribution. You don't have to set up a fund of your own, but you can fully participate and follow us. We're capturing ideas and opportunities for things going on in the community, and there's ways to continue to learn about what's happening in our community and where you can make a difference. And I would encourage people to just kind of follow us in whichever social media or website or whatever you like. But we're here to serve, and we'd love to develop a relationship with you.
And thank you, Curt, for being on the show. The Community Foundation is just an example of the great things that are going on in this area. To have a $700 million fund to invest in the community is really something special. So thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you both. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right. And thank you. You can listen again next week. We'll have another guest on. You're listening to Biz Talk with Score on WHBY, and we'll talk to you next week.